My research is about families, relationships and migration. And in particular, I'm interested in what I call transnational couples with one partner from one country and the other from the other. And so if they're going to live a life together, one of them at least needs to migrate. While I was doing that research, the government and political discourse started portraying these kinds of marriages as an integration problem. And in particular, the government introduced a minimum income requirement for people who are wanting to bring a spouse or partner from another country to the UK. What I've been looking at more recently is the impact that these restrictions to spouse and partner and family migration have on couples and families who are affected by them. This work is really important to me because restrictions to family migration are restrictions to citizens' rights to family life. And your right to family life is a cornerstone of human rights. My first project in this area was called Kept Apart and was about couples and families separated by the UK family immigration regime.
Reunite Families UK like to work collaboratively, working with experts, other organisations in the migration sector and academics. And we started working with Catherine, and the idea of Kept Apart was put to us, and we jumped at the chance because it was a perfect opportunity for us to share the stories, the real life impacts that our families experience as a result of the spouse migration policy.
We already knew that the minimum income requirement was separating families, that it was causing financial problems and impacting on people's mental and physical health. But what we really wanted to do was to find out more about how it was impacting people, what the implications of this separation was for people's lives as couples and as families.
Until it's happened to you, it is impossible to comprehend how awful it is to be separated from a loved one.
We started off with a workshop run by Trauma Awareness, where participants were asked to bring an object that spoke to their experiences.
For everybody that took part in that session, they felt that process was very cathartic for them, that they were able to express themselves in ways that perhaps they weren't able to before.
That was the start of ways of looking at their experiences through writing, through drawing, through craft activities. And that left us with a lot of very interesting material. And we arranged them into a kind of found poetry. And then we gave those poems to an illustrator, and he came up with some ideas for illustrations that might capture these experiences. This illustration is called Night Night Daddy, and it always makes me choke up a little bit. It's a picture of a toddler who's holding a mobile phone on which he's got a picture of Daddy. This speaks to the difficulty of family separation, trying to keep in sync with your loved ones when you are so far apart. This illustration is called The Immigration Maze. It's a couple who are entering into a red, white and blue maze, because not only is the family immigration system lengthy and expensive, it's also extremely complex, and navigating it is a very stressful experience for most couples. They don't know if they're going to be able to find their way out of this together to their future. I think these illustrations communicate these experiences in a very different way from conventional academic writing.
For us, the Kept Apart book was a fantastic tool to be able to create awareness of how people are genuinely affected by a horrendous policy, and it's showing them that this isn't numbers, these are real people, and it impacts in very real ways. And the people within the community were incredibly proud of it too. And it showed them that people cared and that people were listening and people were interested. And that is a huge message to send to those that are affected, because so often they feel alone, they feel isolated, they feel unlistened to, and they don't feel like anybody cares.
So we hope that by creating these materials, we bring these experiences to light for a much wider audience who wouldn't necessarily have the time or inclination to read conventional academic research. The Kept Apart book has already been mentioned in a debate in the House of Lords, and we're keeping in close contact with various stakeholders to try to influence the future of family immigration to the UK And I'm hoping that there will be change to allow these very normal kinds of couples and families to plan their futures and live together.